discussion segment for this week, and I think this one is going to be a pretty good one. So, last year I kind of did one on how to prep for the end of the year. I think we're going to run that back this year and kind of talk about that again. I think that's a really good topic to kind of dive into and something that is always worth talking about, right? So, let's get into it. All right. Let's sip some water. Let's talk about the end of the year. All right. So, what do I mean by the end of the year? Every artist kind of looks at the end of the year like finishing a mini race, right? Because I think creating music and creating content and um, just being a musician in general is a marathon, but the years and the months and the weeks are kind of like mini marathons, if you will, right? Mini races. And once you complete the end of a year, you completed another year, man, and you get to look back on what you did, and you get to look back on everything you accomplished, and see how many goals you hit, and things like that, right? So that's what we're going to talk about here today: is how to kind of prep for the end of the year. And there's really two ways that you could really go about this, right? So when it comes to end of the year prep, you know, creators and artists and musicians kind of look at it in two ways, and there's really two ways you should be looking at it. One way is the kind of go all out way, right? A lot of people like to dump a lot of their B-sides. A lot of people like to finish off with an album. A lot of people like to finish off with a couple shows. A lot of people like to like really up the gas when it comes to the end of the year, and that's a really great way to kind of, again, get a lot of the backlog out, kind of do a lot of things that you didn't get a chance to do towards the middle of the year, the start of the year, and kind of do them at the end of the year. So I think ramping up the content and ramping up the drops and ramping up the tracks and collabs and kind of getting everything else out is always a good way to do it. You know what I mean? I think spilling your guts at the end of the year is always going to be a good play. So that way, not only can you prep for the new year, but you know that you're not going into the new year with anything that's left over. And I don't think anything that's left over is like a bad thing, right? I totally think that's a good thing to have like a vault stored up, right? But if you have stuff that you know that like you're going to sit on forever, or you have like a collab that you've been sitting on forever, or things like that, um, this is definitely the time to fire it off. These last like November, December, like last like 2 months, I think that's a really good time to just fire that off and go crazy, for sure. Um, so that's one method, right? Um, the other thing that you could do is kind of slow down a bit, and not really slow down with drops or anything like that. I would still continue on your regular release schedule. But what I mean by slow down is kind of take a step back and prep, right? Check all your links in your link tree. Kind of make sure that your New Year's ready to go. Make sure that you updated your bios everywhere. Make sure that all your descriptions are good. Make sure that all your YouTube's uploaded. Make sure that your Bandcamp is updated. You know what I mean? Kind of like take a step back and look at everything and check what you might have missed throughout the year, what you need to update. If you don't have a Spotify bio, do that. You could really take the end of the year to kind of go back to the lab and really reassess everything that you have going on, right? I mean, shit, maybe get a new logo ready for the new year. Maybe get, X, Y, or Z done for the new year. I think there's a lot of room for prep there as well. So that's the route that I find is the most beneficial. Just because throughout the year, it can get really busy, right? I think drops and shows and, trying to deal with being an artist is definitely a very busy thing. So the end of the year is really one of the only times where you can sit back and kind of like, you know, take your extra time to do some other shit stuff like putting lyrics in descriptions, or just small stuff that I think you wouldn't normally have time to do throughout the whole year, right? Especially if like you're by yourself and you're doing everything solo. There's definitely no time to kind of like worry about a lot of the smaller stuff. So I think the end of the year is a really good time to fill in those gaps and make sure that you can kind of go into the new year with your head straight. I think that's the biggest benefit to doing all that, though, is not only like do you have the time to do it, but I think going into the new year with your head straight is also a good thing, right? Like you don't want to go into the new year kind of worried about last year's bullshit. You know what I mean? I definitely think that would suck. That would definitely suck. So that's the other benefit of kind of taking a step back and making sure that your content and your music and what you want to do for the new year is ready to go. So I think either way, um, it'd be really beneficial. But those are the two main ways that I would say You can kind of tackle the new year and really get yourself ready for a whole new spin. To be honest with you, I mean, the new year is great, but the end of the year is like again full of a lot of prep. So I think I think it's a very good time of the year, but it's also a very busy time of the year. You know, very very busy. So um, that's that, my friends. That's kind of an interesting topic that I wanted to break down. That's one we did last year, but I think both ways are beneficial depending on what kind of an artist you are. So definitely let us know in the comments. Send us a tweet. Let us know what kind of route you're taking this year, and of course this will be uploaded on the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the Music Mondays YouTube channel if you have not already. We are approaching 300 subscribers. We upload 2 times per week, every Thursday, every Saturday. Full podcast episodes, exclusive segments, and a whole lot of good jazz over there on the channel. Make sure you go show these artists and the channel some love. Get it, baby.